Hey guys, how you doing? It's Art from Art's Model Trains. So you've heard me talk a lot about the Polar Express Berk that I received a couple of weeks ago. Well, on my layout, thankfully, I got to check out the new METCA Custom Run Berk. This is a Chesapeake in Ohio. So let me bring you guys in close, show you this really cool engine. And not that we're going to do a comparison of these two, but just talk a little bit about both of them and how they size up against each other, because there are a couple things to note that are different. Again, this is not a comparison. One is not better than the other, but they're just two different fantasy paint schemes and two different locomotives, actually, that are pretty cool to check out and talk about. So let me bring you guys in and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So first, let's go with the obvious. If you look at the Polar Express, one of the major differences physically from the Chesapeake in Ohio custom run from METCA is the color, obviously, but also the cow catcher on the front. So there is no ability to put a dummy coupler on there. I've actually put the dummy coupler on this unit. So when we go ahead and run it, we're actually going to double head them together and run them as a lash up, which will be pretty cool. Physically, other than that, they're the same thing. What you will notice with this locomotive, the custom run from METCA, is that the paint scheme itself actually enhances some of the details. This is something that Lionel has done a couple of times with fantasy paint schemes recently. So if you think back to the Pacemaker Mohawk, I'm sure they're going to do it again on the new Hudson when they do the Pacemaker paint scheme there. They're making some of the separately applied details, a gray color versus the color, in this case orange, and the Pacemaker is red, body of the engine. And it really makes some of those details stand out. But also what I noticed is the firebox glow on this locomotive is fantastic and really stands out, because that paint scheme, that silver paint, really reflects that glow out from underneath the engine. Whereas with the Polar Express version, you just have to kind of look for it and it's there. It doesn't pop as much. Again, pros and cons to both. It's more probably, I'm guessing, prototypical here, but just really kind of cool that it popped on this engine. The other difference is sounds. So with the Polar Express, and I've talked about this in one of my videos, and I'll try to put a link for it up here if you guys can check it out. The Polar Express is missing a couple of things. There's no startup and shutdown sequence, and while there is the Polar Express movie crew talk, when you hit the crew talk button, when you hit the tower comm, you actually get the standard Lionel tower comm. Fine. 5 whistles, 5 bells. The 5 whistles in this locomotive are actually different than the 5 whistles in this locomotive. And it kind of sucks because a couple of them in here are really cool. So you'll hear those. Speaking of whistles, one of the bonus features of this METCA engine is the ghost whistle. So let me see if I can get that to play for you guys. So that's pretty cool. They were able to include that in this locomotive. The other difference is this will have your startup and your shutdown sequence, but it's all standard Mr. Lionel dialogue, both tower comm and crew talk. Other than that, they're the same locomotive. Again, without the cow catcher, you have a lot more detail on the front here, and again, the ability to put the scale dummy coupler on there. So we'll show you that up close so you guys can see it. It's actually really kind of cool as it's coming down the track at you. It's got like a real rugged, kind of rough look on the front. And it's really kind of interesting. Unfortunately, when I double head these, that'll probably get hidden, but it's pretty cool to look at, and I'll give you guys a close-up image of it so you can see. So the one thing I want to point out is the paint scheme on this Chesapeake in Ohio. I don't know that it's going to come out in the camera, but it's really fascinating. It is very similar to the custom run that METCA did when they did the red tail, whatever that was, SD70, SD90. But that paint, that like silverish gold paint scheme, reflects and pulls on different colors depending on what it's up against or the lighting around you. And it really looks fantastic with this orange. And if you can't see, well, again, when I have you in close, you'll see it. The front of the boiler itself is even a different gray than the silver paint. So it really all pops and stands out together in a very unique way. Again, the images on the METCA website do not do it justice, and seeing it in person is really the only way for you to pick that up. My understanding is there's only a couple of these left on the METCA website. So if you guys are interested, please reach out and make sure you buy one. It is a fantastic addition to anybody's collection. Thankfully, I don't run Chesapeake in Ohio, so as much as I love this engine, it is not staying here. I've already told my wife when she came down, she's like, "Oh, look at that orange engine." I was like, no, don't worry. Not staying. My budget is going elsewhere. But, really cool. Let's double head these things. I got a small train behind it. Nothing fantastic. Just stuff that was already on the layout that will run. And it's just really cool. I've never actually put two steam locomotives together because I've never had two legacy locomotives that I could put together. I never had one that I could throw a dummy coupler on the front. So a lot of fun. Let's check it out.